Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Mind, Your Reality, Your Results, a weekly LinkedIn Live show where I talk with experts in the subject of mindset so you can reframe your mindset and ultimately get the amazing results you want in your life. If we haven't met before, my name's Leah Fink. I'm the owner and founder of All Thrive, and I help protect people from the pain of damaged relationships. So please feel free to reach out if you want to chat about that at any point. Now, I am very excited today to welcome Darlene to the show. Thanks so much for being with us, Darlene.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here.
Excellent. Well, this is a bit of a different topic and really relevant to way more people than you would think. So please feel free to capitalize on Darlene's expertise. Add comments and questions to the box there. Even if you're watching this show when it's not live, please feel free to add those comments and questions, and we can make sure to get back to you. So I would love, Darlene, for you to start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your story, because I think it's very relevant and impactful for this topic.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Darlene Petrie, and I'm with Scam Prevention International. And it's an organization that I created recently as in June, and really believe that it's important for people to learn and know and understand about scam prevention. And the reason is I'm a senior person, senior citizen. I'm 67. Okay, I'm going to say it. And and I have children, grandchildren, and a great grandchild. And so lots of times when people are talking about scams, if I mention the word scam, right away people automatically go to romance scam, catfishing. And so the term catfishing is when somebody steals somebody's persona, their photo from Facebook or from wherever they can get it on the internet. And then they pretend to be that person. And that, so people always think, oh, she was scammed, because she was lonely and she was looking for love kind of thing. And scamming is way so much more than that. Like, first of all, I wasn't looking for love. I was actually playing Scrabble when I was targeted. And I say the word targeted because that's what they do. They look for the people who are vulnerable, and they look for people who are vulnerable in different areas, not just romance scam, but in other areas as well. And so um, I really felt a need. I call it a calling. I was called to do this because I was really angry that this happened to me. And I remember saying, God, why did you allow this to happen to me? Like, why aren't you doing something about this? Why? Because my heart was broken. I did fall for a person who I had not seen, who I had not met in person. And I did give him money. And like, it's right away, people, when I say that, they say, oh, how much did you give? It's kind of like, it really doesn't matter how much I gave. It's like, my heart's broken, and there's so many emotions that go on. So I really feel that, and I knew nothing about scam, catfish, fishing, you know, catfish fishing, and the ph fishing, phishing, fishing, and people like telephone scams. And oh my goodness, there's just so many that people are so at risk of being scammed if they're not aware of what to look for. And that's all. I mean, and it also includes being scammed from your computer if you don't have the proper software to protect you as well. So I I was a person who was scammed, and I feel like I was called to do this. When I was mad and I'm shaking my fist, God, why did you do this? Why don't you do something about it? And it's like a song came on. So it was a song that inspired me to continue, and it had something to the tune of I won't sing it. Is if I create he said that, God, why did you do this to me? This is the song that came on just after I finished saying, God, why did you do this? And the song said those very words. Why did you do, why did you do this? Why don't you do something? And the response to that was, I did. I created you. And I'm like, oh, lights went on. And I'm like, okay, I got to do something about this. That's my answer. That's my calling. Um, so, you know, when I first started, I thought, okay, I'm just going to focus on four different kinds. I'm going to focus on romance scam because I was romance. I can speak to experience about that. I'll talk about phishing. I'll talk about faces like the social media scams and online shopping scams, because you know that. But then as I was talking to people, more and more people are talking and they want to know more. They want to know like the different types of scams. Like what, you know, like they say, well, what about the person who phones you and says, you know, the CRA or IRS calling and saying, you know, you owe them money. And just a quick little story. I have a friend who never mentioned it to anybody because she received that call from CRA and she pays her taxes every 2 years. So she didn't have her taxes done. So she thought that that was a legit call because, and she's in her 40s. So again, a young person, young to me, uh, and, you know, because she thought for sure it must, you know, like they're going to come and they're going to take me away. Like they're going to take me to jail because I didn't do my taxes.
Totally.
And she ended up losing $10,000 because of that. Because she didn't pay her taxes. So she, you know, and so there are people who they're going to get, and that's who the scammers are targeting. Like they're looking for these vulnerable people, and they're looking for people who are, I mean, like I said, there's so many different types of scams. Like there's people who I just I it's
There's a
just
lot. Yeah.
there is, yeah, there's a lot. Like there's people who coming to your door, like they pretend
Yeah.
that they're selling you electricity or gas, and they take your money and they take your information, and so identity theft. So they're looking for all of your credentials so that they can steal your identity, and they may not use it right away. They may just sell it to another scammer, to another um, organization, because scamming is an organization. Cybersecurity
Yeah.
is really important, but people need to know that it is it is organized crime, because
Yeah.
they steal people's money, they steal their credit card, they steal their ID, they have it so, and they want money, usually money from you, or they do money laundering through people too. Like they'll say, oh, I have a package to send to you. Lady was telling me that this happened to her, that, you know, they wanted to send her a package, and then could she forward that package on to somebody else? And she, I mean, you know, she didn't think about anything. And it's like, okay, yeah, I can do that because they're going to give me $10,000 for doing this. So she did that. They sent her a money order for $10,000, and she put it in the bank. And usually, I think the banks are now getting more, you know, wiser, but they'll start to
Yeah.
look at that. But she deposited in the bank. She started spending some of the money, and she got the package. She sent the package off. She didn't look in the package. She didn't know what it was. She still doesn't know what it was, but she did lose that $10,000 because it wasn't a real cashier's check. So that's, you know, it's just, so I like to, because there's so many different kinds of scam, each one in its own self, in its own right, it really deserves about an hour or more even to talk about all of the different ways that, you know, like what to look for, to like how the scam works. I think it's really important to, you know, let people know on each one how does that scam work, and how are the scammers approaching you, and how is it that people do fall for that particular scam? How do they become a victim of that? And so I like to talk about the different tips that, like to spot a scam, the kind of general tips that kind of a blanket for all of the other types of scams that can be used. And so, first of all, I think people, unlike myself, when I was scammed, I was not aware that there was such a thing as scam. So first of all, people need to be aware. People need to be educated. It needs to be brought to people's attention because we know about it, we think everybody knows about it, and that's not the case. So number one, they definitely need to be aware that scams exist. You are a potential target, and you could become a victim if you aren't aware of the particular signs that can be. So some of the signs are if people receive unsolicited invites from people on your, like on your Facebook or social media pages, or through, like even, I have to say that I used to have a Fitbit, and even on Fitbit, I have seen scams where people are saying, that oh, you look so beautiful, and we want to, I'd like to meet you, or I have another item that would go well with your Fitbit. It will help, determine how you sleep and your nutrition, and it'll count calories. Like I can't believe, like it's just they're a Fitbit. They're in self-help groups. I've been on there's a mentoring program that I listen to every morning, and sometimes in the comments section, they have people who you can identify as being somebody who's being a fraud, to try and lure you away from their website to take you to their website, which, by the way, wasn't a legit website. And so I always, if a person is asked to go to a website, they're not sure about the website, it doesn't look quite, it looks good, it looks legit, and I'm going to use Amazon as an example, but it can look exactly like Amazon. And so, for instance, they may say Amazon is Amazon, but in the scammers world, it would be AMAZ zero, the number zero N, and people would not know that .com, and they would not know that that's not the legit Amazon. So you order your stuff, you give them your credit card information, So if that happens, like it's if you notice that you did that and you go, well, Amazon already has all my information, why are they asking me for it again? Like, then that's a red flag. Or any of the sites, and I always say never click on a site that is in your email or in your texts, or and on your tablet. Like, never click on links, always go to the actual URL, like to the bar, and make sure that there is that padlock that says that it is a secure site. And so you get familiar with, people can be scammed by the phone, like I said, through mail. Mail can come your way and it cannot be legit, and you're sending your money to not a real charity, or and I'm going to bring up charity because Giving Tuesday is coming up in December, and like after, because there's always the Black Friday and Cyber Monday and Giving Tuesday. So this is prime time for scammers. So it's really good to be aware of the different ways. So it's people can come to your door. They're selling stuff because they want to, they're helping create, they're not the real UNICEF or the real Canada Plan or Plan Canada, Plan US, or Compassion. They're not the real people. So you really have to be aware, and it's a very sad thing, but you do have to be suspicious. Or curious. I'm going to say curious. I would rather have people be curious than suspicious. So, like, get to know the person before you start giving them any information, or even before you even now, let them in your door. Like, just don't let people in. And if it is something that's online, there are a couple of places where a person can check to see if it is a legitimate website that they're opening, and it's one is called URL void, and so .com, and then there's Google Transparency has also has a place where you can look. So people need to watch for misspelled words, poor grammar. If the site is poorly designed, like sometimes it doesn't look very professional, or if you do click on it and it has broken links, don't go back and then go back again and try to get on that link. It's like, no. You are inviting people to coming into your computer and being lurking around in the background. And then beware of people that you haven't met in person, and people who are asking you for gift cards or bank transfers, wire transfers, cryptocurrency, anything like that. So it's and sometimes it's urgency. So you may get a call, you may get an email, an advertisement that says, this deal. I'll use the phone call, for instance. If you get the phone call and it says, this deal is as good as long as I'm on the phone. But as soon as I hang up, the 2-for-1 or the 95% discount is gone. So never rush when you're making a decision, especially if you're giving any of your personal information. Never rush, because there isn't any there isn't any place that's not going to let you have the opportunity to look up the information on their website.
I just want to add really quick, Master Graphics, not sure of a first name there, but has joined us and is just saying, yeah, it's amazing the lengths they'll go to convince innocent people. And they're appreciating your services, saying they're really important, which I totally agree. Yeah, because and if I can just validate what you've been saying too, it's not one person they're after. Anyone can be vulnerable, depending on the time and how they're reached out to. And especially when you're talking about links, because I think a lot of younger people don't think that these things could affect them. And the emails that you can get, the information, my husband now is information security. And, some of the emails that he's seen for phishing campaigns, so trying to get you to click that link, they look like an email from your boss. They look like a Facebook message from your friend. And you're right, that curiosity, that little niggling, why did they send me this? This doesn't seem like the way they write. This doesn't seem, so just revalidating that. And thanks for Master Graphics for also validating, because this is so important to everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yes, like it is. And it's like, communication is really important too. So if people are asking you to make quick decisions, lots of times it's because they don't want you to talk to somebody else about what's going on. And so, if you're sending money or gift cards, they'll usually say, oh, don't send, like if, say, for instance, if a person does get the call, of the grandparent gets the grandson call and says, like, it's really urgent. Please don't tell mom and dad. I need you to send me the money. So because I'm in trouble, I didn't do what they're accusing me of, and they're not going to let me out. Yeah. Or I can't get out of this place where I'm at because I have to have the COVID shot, and I don't have the money to get COVID tested. And I don't think there's anywhere in the world where we have to pay for being COVID tested. But, the scammers are trying to use that as a means for people to send money. And it's, it's spelling mistakes, as I said before. And like, just really be curious about like I said, I don't want people not to feel comfortable to be able to be on their computer.
Yep.
I think people do need to invest in protection. You go to, you pay your house insurance, you don't claim on it every year. And if you do, it skyrockets. So, but I think people do need to invest in products that are going to protect their computer, that's going to let people know if their identification is being used, and they should be checking, their, if they say that, for instance, they have a credit card that they haven't used in a while, they should check it and make sure that it still isn't being used. And I think one of the things that happens now, and where some of the scammers are getting their victims from, is they're targeting people. Well, they don't have a specific, like, they'll just mass send out information, but lots of times people just kind of they have the spend and forget. So so then you'll get a call from someone to say, your shipment is at customs. Can you please send money so that we can release it? And I did have that happen to a friend, because I don't remember ordering anything, but it could be. So, and it was supposedly coming from Australia, and so she sent them the money to have it released, and so with a credit card she paid, and so then she didn't have any money left on her credit card. And I have to say, when you are paying with your credit card, and I think this is an important piece of information that a lot of people don't know, that you should really, when you're shopping online, always use your credit card versus your Visa debit. Because usually if you send your credit card information, you usually get some kind of thing back saying that you've paid for it. And then if you don't get it back, you can cancel your order on your credit card and not be out the money. So the other thing too that I think is really important is if a person comes across someone who has told them that they've been scammed, or if they suspect that something's not right, like that they say, for instance, if they're suddenly really not as vocal as they used to be, or suddenly they start getting a lot of junk mail, or they start having stuff in their house that they really don't need. These are signs that a person could be being scammed. And so it's important to listen to that, but to watch for people who you may think if you notice that their personality is changing, that some of the characteristics are changing, be suspicious, be curious, not suspicious. I'm trying to get that word out of my head. I'm suspicious. Be curious. Because they're not going to come to you usually as a rule. Some may, because they themselves, like, they feel anxious, they feel ashamed. I have to say, even today, it's been 2.5 years since I was scammed, and it's still really emotional to me because I still feel embarrassment. So, and my way of showing my embarrassment and to let people know that I'm not stupid, or I don't know how to make decisions, is I will often let people know, like, I wasn't scammed out of a lot of money, like, and I'll say things like other people, who have been scammed hundreds of thousands of dollars, or, I always put in, I was only scammed out of $800. You know what? And my heart was broken. So that, to me, like, even after 2.5 years, I still have that embarrassment, that guilt, and fear, that it's is this going to happen again, and definitely loss of trust in people, and you do get a loss of security, and you do have you have a grieving process, because you've met somebody online, or you've lost your people do grieve over losing their credit cards, because you can't you can't do anything with it, especially if it's this time of year when you are shopping, and you need your credit card because you have to purchase things. So
if I can just, like, first of all, again, like, thank you for sharing your story, because it is so important for people to hear that they're not alone. They weren't the only people scammed. Like, that shame can be really hard. And so like when you meet someone, don't shame them if this has happened. Like recognize something you've touched on a couple times too is people who scam, like you said, it's organized crime, and they're master manipulators of emotion. So I would say that's also another red flag is if you are feeling either the joy of, oh, this is such a good deal, I don't want to miss out on it, that FOMO, right? If you are feeling fear because they're threatening you about the CRA or the tax, or you're going to be arrested or whatever that is, like all those heightened emotions, if you're feeling romance and love because they play on it very intentionally, I would say that's also a warning. And then of course, validate what that person went through. If they have gone through that, I can understand how that would happen to you. That must have been scary. Let's make sure you're safe from now on is so important. So thanks for letting me jump in with that.
Yeah. And in the healing process, like you need to try to help them accept what their emotions are. That they are feeling that. So you need, like to help them understand that, like you said, yes, it's not a good feeling, but this is how you feel. This is what you need, to be able to present, to be able to feel better, so you really need to really help them get through that process. And one of the other things is self-care. Like teach them, like strategies for self-care, like, help them to to monitor their thinking, to not always be thinking about, oh, I was scammed, oh, this shouldn't have happened, I'm a bright, educated man, woman, I should have known, everybody else knows about these things. So to really be there for them and to ask, what is it, to have them know that they can ask you for help if they're feeling that they need to ask you for help. Like I know sometimes, it's not advice to say, to always say, well, I'm here if you need me. Because almost everybody says that. Then when they phone you, you don't. But, like to say that, that you are there, that you do want to be there for their support and find out, do they have anyone else that they can talk to? Because you may not be available all the time. And look for different options, help them look for different options. Like, is there free counseling in their area? Is there, is there, like, the church, can they help? Or there are some sites that deal, specifically for the different types of scamming and report. Like, I think it really gives a sense of relief if they know that they have the option to report that they've been scammed, even though it happened like, a few months ago, they can still report it. And it gives them the sense of like, they have taken action, like they've done something about it there. But the one thing I really, really have to enforce is that once you suspect that the person that you're talking to is a scammer, hang up. Don't engage anymore, because all they're doing is fishing for more information.
Yep.
Like, just as soon as you follow your gut. I always say those are the things. My two things always, if people ask me and I'm short of time, is like, don't click and don't engage. Like, just hang up. Like, don't. Yep. That's, just really important. I think that's what people need to really think about. Follow your gut. And
yeah. Well, and so we're getting close to the end of our time, which is a shame, because like you said, I'm sure you could talk for hours about each of these scams, about how to prevent them. I think the first thing to remind people, or to say, is, of course, the best way to protect yourself is to not get in these places, and to protect the people you know and love. Mm-hmm. And if you have people that are vulnerable in your life, which, to be fair, is everyone, but especially older people, maybe new immigrants, anyone who you're worried might be targeted, have these conversations ahead of time. Don't assume that people know about all of these, even if you give them a 5-minute, hey, have you thought of these things when clicking online, or have you had anyone contact you like this? Let's start that discussion. And obviously you are a great resource for that as well. So if people are looking for some resources or want to talk about this, do you want to tell them a little bit about what you have for resources and how they can contact you? And we'll put it in the comments as well at the end here.
Oh, okay, yes, yeah. So I do have a website. It's www.scampreventioninternational.com. So I was very lucky to get the name of what it is. And also I can be emailed at Darlene@scamprevention.com. And I also am available because this is an international issue. I do have a WhatsApp number as well as a cell phone. So if someone's calling from another country, I would prefer that they do use the WhatsApp. And it's +1 587 432 6198. And I really encourage people to talk about it if they don't know. If they don't know where to report and they don't know where to go for help, or they need help to get help, I'm more than willing to help with that. And on my website, I do have different infographics under the programs section that have the different, like just a short infographic about the different types of scam. And then I also have different resources, and I'm always looking for resources too. So if people are willing to, be on my website and be listed as a resource, that they are going to be able, because people who have been scammed, or people who want to help people who have been scammed, or people who want to avoid being, to want to learn more about it. I really like to have more resources on my resource page to help people, because it's not, I'm not a professional counselor. I wouldn't be able to, counsel people that can talk about it. I'm good. I'm a good listener, even though I've been talking this whole time. I am a I listen very well, and I am a very resourceful person, and I love research. So if you come up with something that I don't know, I will definitely say, I'm sorry, I don't know, but I will look it up for you, or we can look it up together, because Zoom's a wonderful thing. People can do things together now, even across the countries. So I just really think that if a person sees information about scam prevention on their social media pages, forward that information. Like, I have a friend that helped me with my very first infographic, and I asked her why she didn't share it, or why she didn't like it on my social media. And she was, well, I don't have any friends that would fit, and that would need that. And I'm like, aren't I your friend? So, and it's something,
Yeah.
what? If they are aware of scams and scammers and targets, and people can be victims, then they are going to be more curious about the kinds of stuff that is coming into them. So,
Well, that's
share.
I fully agree. I really appreciate that your website has so many resources for people, because that's a great starting point to be able to share to, maybe your vulnerable people aren't on social media as much, but that you can send them this information, start that conversation. And especially I'm thinking too, if people know someone that they think might be scammed, that just connecting them with you to have that, empathetic ear, but also someone else who's gone through a similar experience, could be really vulnerable to have or really valuable to have someone to talk to. So I'll just encourage people again to reach out to Darlene and just say thank you so much, Darlene, for being here today. This is such an important thing for people to know.
Okay, great. And I will, so I'll put the scam prevention website.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get all your resources in there so people can click on them.
Okay.
Great. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.